Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Learn and Talk English podcast. I'm Emily.
And I'm Marcus. We're so excited you're here with us today. This podcast is your space to explore, grow, and most of all, to enjoy the journey of learning English. Together.
That's right. Whether you're just starting out or looking to take your English to the next level, this is the place where we learn and, most importantly, talk English.
And today, we've got a really exciting topic. One that could completely change how you speak English every day.
Today's episode is called Train Your Brain to Think in English. If you've ever felt stuck or caught yourself translating every word before you speak, then this episode is for you.
Yes, it's a game changer. So, what are you going to learn today?
You'll discover practical, simple, and powerful ways to build your English vocabulary using everyday words like cup, street, book, and sunshine. Describe what you're doing with phrases like, I'm making breakfast, or I'm walking to the store. Visualize scenarios in English, like ordering coffee or asking for directions. Use your imagination to create mental conversations. Talk to yourself throughout the day in English. Surround yourself with the language through music, videos, and apps. And most importantly, learn to stay confident, patient, and motivated.
These aren't just nice ideas. They're techniques used by learners all over the world to speak more fluently, more naturally, and with less stress.
In just a few minutes, we'll hear from someone really special, Maria, an English teacher with an inspiring story.
She'll tell us about one of her students from Bangladesh who struggled with English because he always thought in his native language first. But once he learned to think in English, something amazing happened.
His confidence grew, his speech became smoother, and for the first time, he felt like he could truly communicate in English.
And that's not all.
After Maria's story, we'll be joined by two linguistic experts who will help us go even deeper. They'll explain why thinking in English works and how to train your brain step by step.
So grab a notebook, get comfortable, and stay with us.
Because what you'll hear today might be the biggest turning point in your English journey.
Let's get started. Coming up next, Maria's story, and later, our expert panel. Don't go anywhere.
Hi everyone, I'm Maria, and I'm so happy to be here with you on the Learn and Talk English podcast. Today, I want to share a story that really touched my heart. It's about one of my students. His name is Rahman, and he's from Bangladesh. When Rahman first joined my English class, he was shy, quiet, and often looked down when it was time to speak. He once told me, I know the words, I understand the grammar, but when I try to speak, I just freeze. And I asked him, what's happening in your mind at that moment? He said, I'm thinking in Bengali and trying to translate every word into English before I speak. I knew right away this was the wall he had to break through, so I started working with him. Not just on vocabulary or grammar, but on something much deeper. I taught him how to think in English. We started small. I asked him to describe his morning in English, just one sentence a day. I am brushing my teeth. I am walking to school. Then we moved on to visualizing conversations. He imagined talking to a friend, ordering tea, buying groceries, all in English. At first, it was hard. He kept slipping back into Bengali, but he didn't give up. And then, something beautiful happened. One day, Rahman came into class with the biggest smile on his face. He said, Maria, I was thinking in English this morning, and I didn't even try. It just happened. That moment gave me chills. From that point on, Rahman's confidence soared. He spoke more naturally. He answered questions faster. And most importantly, he believed in himself. And that, my friends, is the power of learning to think in English. It's not just about speaking better, it's about feeling free and connected to the world around you. And now, to help us understand this topic even better, we have two language experts joining us. Olivia and Jack will explore the science and psychology behind thinking in English and share expert strategies that you can use. So, don't go anywhere, stay tuned for an amazing deep dive into this life-changing skill.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Learn and Talk English podcast.
Hi, everybody.
So today we're tackling something that's super important for improving your English, and that's thinking in English rather than always translating from your first language.
Absolutely. It can really make a difference.
It might seem obvious, but seriously, it's a game changer if you want to speak more fluently and just sound more natural.
For sure. It's like you're removing a barrier.
Yeah, think about it. When you have something you want to say in English, do you sometimes find yourself thinking of it in your native language first and then scrambling to translate it into English?
Oh, yeah.
Because there's this extra step happening in your brain, right?
Totally. You have the thought, then you translate it, and only then can you actually speak.
And all that translation takes time, right?
It does. It slows you down. And sometimes, the direct translation just doesn't quite work in English.
Right. It might be grammatically correct, but it just sounds a little off.
Exactly. Native speakers wouldn't say it that way.
So I think we can all agree that thinking directly in English is the way to go. But let's break down why it's so helpful. What are the biggest advantages?
Okay, well, the first thing you'll notice is that you can speak way faster. I mean, when you're already thinking in English, those responses and conversations, they just come out more naturally.
It's like you're not hitting that pause button every time to translate.
Precisely. And your English just starts to sound smoother, more like a native speaker. You pick up on the nuances, the little things that you might miss if you're constantly translating.
You kind of start to internalize the flow of the language.
Right. And that brings us to another big plus, confidence.
Oh, yeah. Confidence is huge.
When you can express yourself easily without struggling to find the right words, it just does wonders for your confidence.
You're not so worried about making mistakes or if people understand you.
Exactly. You feel more comfortable speaking in any situation.
And I bet that makes you want to speak even more.
Absolutely. It's a positive cycle. And thinking in English also has a really cool effect on your vocabulary. Well, instead of always trying to find the English equivalent for a word in your native language, you start to think of the English words directly.
It's like building a direct connection between your thoughts and the English words.
That's a great way to put it. And you know what else happens? You start to develop this intuition for English grammar.
Like you can just sense if something sounds right or wrong.
Yeah. Even if you don't know the specific grammar rule, you just kind of feel it.
That's so cool. And you know what else I've noticed? When I'm thinking in English, my pronunciation even improves a little.
It makes sense when you're constantly thinking in the language. You start to absorb the rhythm and intonation without even realizing it.
Okay, so we've got a ton of great reasons to make the switch, but how do we know if we're still relying too much on translation in our heads? What are some telltale signs?
Well, one of the most obvious signs is pausing a lot before you speak.
Yeah, those awkward silences while you're mentally flipping through a dictionary.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And if you often struggle to form sentences quickly, even when you know the words, it could mean that translation is slowing you down.
It's like your brain is juggling too many tasks at once.
Right. And another sign is feeling nervous or frustrated when speaking English.
Like you're constantly second-guessing yourself.
Yeah, it's that inner critic comparing your English to how you'd say it in your native language, and that can be exhausting.
It's like you're never fully present in the conversation.
Exactly. And another sign is using expressions that sound a little strange or unnatural in English.
Could you get an example?
Sure. Let's say in Spanish you might say abrir la luz to mean turn on the light. But if someone's thinking in Spanish and translating directly, they might say open the light in English, which sounds odd.
It's grammatically correct, but it's just not how a native speaker would say it.
Right. So thinking in English helps you pick up on those natural expressions that might not translate literally.
Okay, so we know why it's important and how to recognize if we're doing it now. Let's get to the good stuff. How can we actually start thinking in English?
Well, there are lots of fun and practical things you can try. One simple exercise is to start labeling things around you with their English names.
Like walking around the house and saying table, chair, window?
Exactly. And if you don't know the word, look it up and try to remember it.
It's like creating a mental English dictionary for your everyday environment.
Yes. And as you go about your day, try to describe your actions in English, even if it's just in your head.
So like, I'm making coffee, I'm walking the dog, I'm checking my email.
Exactly. It helps to reinforce those verb patterns and get comfortable with using them spontaneously.
And we can do the same thing with our surroundings, right?
Absolutely. Look around and think the walls are white, there's a painting on the wall, the sun is shining. Just simple descriptions to get your brain thinking visually in English.
Okay, I like that. And I know you're a big fan of this next one, or talking to yourself in English.
Yes, it might feel silly at first, but it's super effective.
So like having little conversations with yourself in your head.
Precisely ask yourself questions and answer them in English like, what should I wear today? I think I'll go with the blue shirt.
It's like giving yourself a personal English lesson throughout the day.
And you can also try imagining conversations in English before you have them.
So like mental role playing.
Exactly. If you know you're going to order food at a restaurant, try to imagine the conversation in your head beforehand. Think about what you'll say and what the other person might say.
That way you're more prepared and confident when you actually have the conversation.
Yes, and don't underestimate the power of changing the language settings on your devices to English.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. It's like constant passive exposure to the language.
Exactly. You'll be surprised how much you absorb just by seeing menus and notifications in English.
And speaking of exposure, we should also be actively seeking out English content.
Absolutely. Listening to music podcasts, watching movies and TV shows, even reading books and articles.
Yeah.
It all helps immerse you in the language.
The more you surround yourself with English, the more natural it will start to feel to think in English.
It's like creating an English-speaking bubble around yourself.
And we can even use visual aids like sticky notes to label things in our homes.
It might sound a bit childish,
Yeah.
but it really works. Stick a note on the fridge that says refrigerator, or on the door that says door. It just helps solidify those connections in your mind.
It's all about making English a constant presence in your life.
Right, and when you're thinking in English, try to keep it simple at first. Don't worry about forming perfectly complex sentences.
Small steps, right?
Exactly. Start with basic thoughts like, I'm hungry, I need to go to the store, and as you get more comfortable, you can gradually build up to more complex thoughts.
I like that approach, and I think this next tip is super helpful too. Talk to yourself in English during those everyday moments when you're doing chores or walking somewhere.
Yes, it keeps the language active in your mind. So instead of just going through the motions, try to narrate what you're doing, like, I'm putting away the dishes, I'm turning left at the corner.
And before you go to sleep at night, try to think about your day in English.
It's a great way to wind down and reflect on your day, while also practicing thinking in English.
It's like a mental recap in English.
And you know what else is fun? If you don't have someone to practice with, just use your imagination.
Like imaginary conversations.
Yes, picture yourself talking to a friend or colleague in English. It helps you visualize the interaction and practice forming those sentences.
Okay, I love all these practical tips. Now, earlier we talked about how translating directly can sometimes lead to mistakes, and you gave a really good example from Spanish.
Yes, in Spanish you might say, tengo frío, which literally translates to, I have cold. But in English we say, I am cold.
So translating word for word can trip us up sometimes.
It can. And that's why thinking directly in English is so important. It helps us avoid those awkward literal translations.
You also mentioned the power of immersion. Could you expand on that a bit?
Sure, immersion is basically surrounding yourself with the language as much as possible.
And you don't have to live in an English-speaking country to do that, right?
Not at all. You can create your own immersion environment at home by watching English movies, listening to English music podcasts, audiobooks, even reading English books and articles.
It's like making English the soundtrack to your life.
Exactly. And the more you expose yourself to the language, the easier it'll become to think in English without having to translate everything.
Awesome. So we've covered a lot of great strategies today, but I think the most important thing is to be patient and consistent with this process.
Absolutely. Learning to think in English takes time and effort. It's like building a muscle. You have to train it regularly.
And don't get discouraged if you don't see results overnight.
Exactly. It's a gradual process. Focus on making progress, not perfection.
Yeah.
Celebrate those small victories when you catch yourself thinking in English, even for a few seconds.
Every little bit counts, and consistency is key, right?
Yes, even dedicating just a few minutes each day to these exercises can make a big difference over time.
So it's all about making it a habit, a natural part of your daily routine.
Precisely. And remember to have fun with it. Learning a language should be enjoyable.
Absolutely. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. I feel like we've covered so much useful information about thinking in English.
Me too. I hope our listeners feel empowered to start incorporating these tips into their learning journeys.
Before we wrap up, I'd love to hear from our listeners. Have you tried any of these techniques?
Yes, share your experiences in the comments. Maybe you have some tips of your own.
And if you have any questions, feel free to ask. We're all here to learn and support each other.
Exactly. Thank you so much for joining us on the Learn and Talk English podcast.
We hope this episode has inspired you to start thinking in English. And remember, the more you practice, the more fluent and confident you'll become.
Stay tuned for more exciting episodes coming soon.
And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss any future lessons. Happy learning, everyone.
Bye for now.
See you next time.